Well, welcome to the Cochrane family farm here, Evergreen Grove Farm. We got a lot of old tractors, red tractors that we use around the farm. You can see some of the old stuff and some of the stuff we're using today. We feed about 600 to 650, 600-pound heifer calves here and feed them right through to a finish. This is the backgrounding farm, so we use a lot of corn silage, rye, and then we get corn screenings, corn and corn gluten feed dry for this operation. Lately we've been just purchasing everything here in Ontario. They come out of Kitchener, the Olux sale. We buy mostly heifers, 600 pounds or so. Then we just, they're high-risk calves, so we use our vet and do the best we can to get them started. Yeah, this is the newest barn I guess we have, which is 20 years old, but we use the corn stalks and straw and try and bed them up probably every 10 days. These are some corn stalks that we make corn stalk bales with. We always do that in the spring. The stalks are drier and the nutrients are pretty much leached out of the stalks. We've done some feed tests on those stalks and there are not much nutrients left in them by then. All right, now on to strip till, probably one of the scariest moves we've made on the farm, but we're happy that we did it and we're really pleased with the results we've had. This is our strip till unit. We purchased it in 2015. It's a Dawn Pluribus unit. The tanks on the front are for nitrogen to heat up that strip with a bit of nitrogen. This is a bit of the fun job out of all the jobs to do. You get to drive about 8 to 9 miles an hour usually, so you're zipping right along. The strip tiller follows pretty nice, and if you're doing that 8 miles an hour, it seems to break the clumps up in the strips a little nicer. If you drive slow, there's a lot larger lumps that have to dry out. As you can see on this, it does have airbags to set different depth pressures. We use it mostly for all our corn acres. We picked these units mainly because of our stony light ground. We didn't want a big shank ripping up stones and bringing them to the top. And we're doing all this in the spring because we don't want strips laying open in the fall, eroding like plowed ground would. So there's a lead coulter and then the trash whippers to move trash, and then just 2 coulters at the back that pull up the soil. We still use markers on our strip till and our planter. We'd like to go to auto steer at some point, but for now it seems to work pretty good for us. It just works that 8 inches or so of soil, and then the rest is left undisturbed, so nothing else can wash it away the rest of the year. After those back discs pull up the dirt, those fingers at the back, they break up the lumps and stuff to help the planter go over it. We're mainly planting corn with this after this unit, probably 90–95% of our corn acres, unless we're trying to fix a field for some reason. We've tried it in some soybeans and our edible beans that we've grown in the past. We've used this as well. We try and set the machine not too deep. We really don't want to do any more tillage than we have to. We're probably about 3.5–4 inches deep, and the bottom of that trench is only maybe 3 or 4 inches wide, and the top's about 6 or 8. Even when we're growing our cover crop rye for feed, we still always are thinking of the strip tiller kind of in the forefront. In this picture, we blocked out every 3rd tube on the drill so we could leave spaces for the strip tiller to run the next spring. Okay, early in the spring, we try and get out with some nitrogen and sulfur on the rye to make sure we get as much volume as we can. Probably May 24 is when we cut it most years, bale it up, wrap it. where the empty strips are, we run the strip tiller. You can see there it looks fairly lumpy when you see strips that are finished. And then after the planter hits it, it mellows that strip right out. Some other experiments we've played with rye when we got all the feed we need. We tried planting green into some fairly big rye. We didn't crimp it or roll it, we just sprayed it, and you can see when the combine was running, it was there was still a lot of straw that had to go through the combine with those beans, but at the end of the day they were only 2 bushels less than the field across the lane, so I think it worked out pretty well. The last thing we've done with rye is sometimes plant rye on some of the light ground and then spray it off May 1st to first week of May, and then strip till and plant corn into that by the 15th to 20th of May. Once the strips have dried off for 24 hours or so, then we usually send Dad out with the international planter there, and he just drives and follows those strips, and we're always usually get out once in a while and you kind of get an idea of where the fertilizer coulter is hitting the strip, and then you get pretty used to driving it. Where the strip tiller really excelled for us was in corn on corn. Sometimes you just have to use corn on corn in a livestock operation in order to get enough feed for the livestock. When we were trying to disc or cultivate corn stalks in order to plant again, there was too much trash around the seed. This way you drive down in between the rows and you get a nice black strip in between, and the corn planter does a nice job of planting right on top of that. In our corn on corn, we got very good emergence when we get rid of the trash and we plant in between those rows. Like our corn on corn, manure pack is something that's a little difficult to plant into. Our background in cattle, we have a lot of straw in that manure. The strip tiller moves that trash into the center and leaves that perfectly blank strip to plant into. In between the rows there, that material does disappear. By the time you're doing silage in the fall, all that material from the center of the rows is all disappeared. Corn silage is one of the bigger components of our farm. 20% of our corn acres would go into corn silage. That's our bunker for corn silage. We're a little short on space, so we go a little higher than most guys do. Here's where we're combining corn for feed. We have a high moisture silo that we fill, and then the remaining corn is dried with a Shivers dryer, and it can be either sold or fed to the cattle. With the strip till and 6 and 6, it works best to just have 6 rows on the combine as well, and then everything lines up pretty good. Yeah, so I guess for our operation, this is why we do it. We enjoy steak and working with the family.